Hey guys, Danny here, hope you're all doing well. Today we are reviewing a drone which is the MJX B20. This product was sent to me for review, and as always, if you'd like to pick it up, you can find a link down below. So I'm going to unbox this for you so you can see what's included, and let's quickly also run through some notable features that this drone has. You will see, unlike a lot that I review, it's not foldable and it's not on the small side. I would say it's medium, or I would describe it in that way at least. It doesn't have a gimbal system, but it does have a dampening system which helps lower vibration when the drone's moving, that you can see on the camera mount. And it does also have a motorized camera that can go up and down, and it also is utilizing electronic image stabilization. The drone's camera is capable of 4K video at 30 frames a second. There's a maximum RC range of 600 meters. As well as using GPS, this drone also supports optical flow positioning via a downward facing camera. Like most MJX products that I've tested, I was very impressed with the build quality of this product. It felt really nice in the hand, had a nice amount of weight to it, and all of the parts felt sturdy and high quality. And while I personally like the kind of retro grey finish that they have on this product, I do think it will not be to everyone's taste. I do have the 2 battery version, which I would recommend if you're thinking of keeping this drone for a long period of time. They are an impressive 3,400 mAh, which apparently should give us up to a 22-minute flight time. The batteries are charged via a USB-C cable, and you don't have any proprietary ones that you need to use. Just a standard USB-C cable will be fine. A USB-C charging cable and also a screwdriver is included. If you hadn't noticed, the props aren't installed by default, so you do have to install these, but it's fairly straightforward using the user manual, which shows you how to match up the correct props into which place they need to go. The controller is the same as the one included with the Bugs B7, which I looked at in another review. I'll link that above for you now. So the control is the same, so my opinion hasn't changed on it. It is very good, and it's just the finish that feels a little bit plasticky if I was to be a bit nitpicky. But other than that, the built-in phone holder feels really nice and sturdy, and I love the fact that there's no extra parts to it, so you can't lose them as they're built into the controller. It does take 2 AA batteries. And you also have the inbuilt screen, which gives you some very useful readouts, such as the battery left in the controller and the drone, the distance it's from you, and much more. Turn on the controller, turn on the drone. Of course, the part you've been waiting for, the flight test. I do want to mention that I'm not flying in my usual area as I was unable to, so I couldn't perform the exact same tests that I normally do, so sorry about that, but I was able to still give this drone a pretty good run for its money and see exactly what it's capable of. My initial impressions when I first took it off is it did feel a little bit floaty, which is often a problem that GPS drones have. Now, what do I mean by that? So you will sometimes notice when I move the drone around and take my hands off of the controls, there's this slight effect where the drone will slide and then come to a more gradual stop. So you have this feeling of not very responsive control input, and it wasn't a big issue with this drone. It was just something I noticed a little bit more than something like the Bugs B7, which felt very responsive and more snappy, but by no means does this drone feel sluggish or like you're not in control. It just has that slight kind of sliding effect or toilet bowl effect sometimes that you don't always get with some other drones. Although I wasn't able to take the drone super far away from me due to the size of this field that I was in, I did find the Wi-Fi feed held up pretty well, besides one instance where I did lose connection, but it did regain connection pretty quickly. Other than that, the feed seemed pretty good quality, as you can judge for yourself, and it did respond pretty well to my inputs on the touchscreen and also the RC input via the controller did feel pretty responsive too. It's also worth mentioning that while the area I fly in is normally pretty windy, today was, I would say, the windiest it's been for a while, so this drone did have quite a lot to put up with and compensate. So if you do see the drone moving around a lot, there is quite a lot of wind, which I've done my best to remove from the audio, so you might not notice as much as there actually is. This is the first test I did of return to home, and it was pretty snappy at coming back to me. There was a few scary moments where wind grabbed hold of the drone quite a lot, but it seemed to recover quite quickly. It came back pretty much to where I took off from. I only had to move the landing pad a few feet and the drone landed on it perfectly fine. Although the return to home feature felt relatively responsive and gave me a pretty good degree of confidence that the drone would come back to me if there was any problems, the wind did make me feel like I wasn't in control a few times, as you'll hear me in the background here, because the drone doesn't really have a very high maneuverability. Even if you put it onto the higher rates, I don't really feel like most people would be confident flying this in high wind. I wasn't, and I've got a fair amount of experience flying drones now. Because this product is so focused on camera stability, even when you turn off the GPS, I don't really feel like there's enough manual control to confidently combat high wind. So this will present some issues for you unless you're a very experienced flyer. And I just feel like there's a little bit of a lack of power sometimes when I was flying into the wind and trying to stabilize the drone. So from a manual control point, it didn't really feel up to par with some other more powerful drones that I've used. Here I have the drone in sport mode or the high rates mode. I then switched on headless mode, which essentially means from when you turn it on, the drone will always have the same controls on the right stick, no matter what direction it's facing in. So it enables you to spin the drone and move it in any direction you want without affecting your control input. So it just makes it easier to do fun stuff like this. This is a very good demonstration though of, even while the drone was in high rates, it just felt a bit sluggish and not very fun to fly. Now, I wouldn't expect people to buy this drone as a fun flyer, but it does add more value to a drone, I think, if it's capable of good stable pictures in a GPS mode, and then the ability to turn that off and have more fun and do, flybys and a few little tricks with it. This one didn't really feel capable of doing that, at least in my opinion. I then decided to test follow me mode, which is often a feature that can be a little bit buggy. Now this can be caused by a lot of different things. This may be no fault of the drone software or the drone's GPS at all, as it is relying on your smartphone GPS, which if not functioning properly, or you have a software issue on your phone, then that could of course cause some issues, which I did experience here. The drone seemed to at times be quite confused to where my phone actually was and where I was located, so often it would turn away from me or not quite face the right direction. It did also drift around somewhat, so the feature didn't perform great for me, but as I said, there's so many other things that can affect this feature. It's not really an indication of the quality of a drone unless you can prove that the GPS on your smartphone is working as it should be. Of course, we need to talk about the camera too. Now my feelings here are a little bit mixed, but please do let me know down below what you think of the camera. Now this is using electronic image stabilization, as I mentioned earlier. This is done via software, which is different to optical image stabilization, which is actually done inside the camera, and both sometimes do have pluses and minuses. Electronic image stabilization tends to pan in on the camera and can kind of create these jumpy effects sometimes, which you may notice in some of the footage I'm showing you here. Unlike a gimbal, there is a lot more downsides, and gimbals are generally a lot more effective. So this does seem to be a mixed bag in terms of the video that it puts out. While the image quality is pretty good, considering this is an overcast day that I'm filming on, so the lack of light won't be helping the camera. The image quality is what I've come to expect for a drone around this price point, but I do feel that it sits in a weird place because of its higher price. There are drones around this price point that are utilizing a gimbal, so I'm not entirely sure why MJX decided to go with this not so good method when you compare to actually using a full gimbal. Whether it was cost or some other problem, I don't really think this drone sits in the right price point for the features that it has in the camera. And while I sort of gave the Bugs B7 a free pass for not having a gimbal, this was at a slightly lower price point and was targeting a sub 249 gram weight class. So with this drone's higher price point and bigger size, I feel like there's less excuses to not have a gimbal. But again, this may not matter to some of you, and the video quality that you're seeing might be fine for you, but I do need to give you my opinion and all sides of what I think so that you can make an educated decision on whether you'd like to pick up this product or not. I think I'm going to wrap up this review here. My final conclusion on this product is my feelings are a little bit mixed, as you've probably gathered. I would definitely recommend this product if it fits your requirements, as it's definitely not bad by any means, but I do feel for its price there are some features and some specs that I think should be slightly higher for its price point. As always, let me know what you think down below. You can of course find a link to this product if you'd like to use that. It will support my channel. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more videos like this one, and of course I will see you in the next one.